Hello, it is Ryan, and we could all use an extra bright spot in our day, couldn't we? Just to make up for things like sitting in traffic, doing the dishes, counting your steps, all the mundane stuff. That is why I'm such a big fan of Chumba Casino. Chumba Casino has all your favorite social casino-style games that you can play for free anytime, anywhere with daily bonuses. So sign up now at ChumbaCasino.com. That's ChumbaCasino.com.
No purchase necessary. VGW Group. Void where prohibited by law. 21 plus. Terms and conditions apply.
Attention, you're listening to the Todd Huff Radio Show, America's home for conservative, not bitter talk radio. Be advised that the content of this program has been documented to prevent and even cure liberalism, and listening may cause you to lean to the right. Here's your conservative, but not bitter host, Todd Huff.
Well, that is right, my friends. You have tuned in to America's Home for Conservative, Not Bitter Talk. I'm your host, the one, the only, Todd Huff, and it is good to have you here today. Trump has helped negotiate a ceasefire between Israel and Iran. There have been there's been a situation that has arisen since that. All this has happened in the past, within the past 12 hours, again, depending upon when you are listening to my voice. But this has all happened relatively quickly here, recently, my friend. So, negotiated ceasefire, and then Iran fires a missile in the process, or after the ceasefire. Israel responds by sending aircraft in to bomb pretty aggressively in response. Trump doesn't like this. He's asked about this, or he comments on this morning. We're going to get into all of this today, my friends, in due course. Appreciate you tuning in today. I want to tell you, though, before we get started, Mike Lindell, MyPillow, the folks there on staff, they want to say thank you. Thank you for those of you in this audience who have purchased products from them. And I know that there are many of you, and I'd like to say thank you as well. Mike Lindell has a passion to help everyone get the best sleep of their lives. That's why I like to use the pillow at MyPillow in particular. But he didn't just stop by, creating the pillow. He also created some bed sheets as well, and he's got specials. A special on the Percale bed sheets, which you can get now for as low as $24.98. That's a good deal, my friends. MyPillow's Percale bed sheets are breathable. They have a cool and crisp feel, which is music to my ears as a hot sleeper. They have deep pockets to fit over any mattress. They look and feel great, which means an even better night's sleep on these sheets, my friends. Also, for a limited time, when your order is over $100, you will receive $100 in free digital gifts from MyPillow. So go to MyPillow.com, use promo code TODD to get your Percale bed sheets for as low as $24.98. Again, MyPillow.com, promo code Todd, get you that special offer, my friends. And if you spend over $100, you're going to get $100 in free digital gifts. All right, let's do an update here. An update on what's happening in this situation between Iran and Israel. So, let's just kind of go back in time here with President Trump and his truth social posts. Listen, this is, again, as I've said on here, and as you know, this is a complicated situation. This is there's something here that runs very, very deep. This goes back in some way, shape, or form, depending upon how you want to look at this specifically. This goes back, you could say, at least to 1948. That's when the nation of Israel was formed, the modern state of Israel was formed. But some of this goes way, way further back. Now, we know the current nation of Iran, the current regime did not overtake Iran until 1979. So some could say, well, that's the beginning of this. But the hatred was there then, but the hatred was rooted further back than that. The hatred goes back to at least 1948. And dare I say, I think the proper way to understand this is to look at a hatred that runs deeper back into the annals of history, back to the time, thousands of years. I'm talking Abraham, Isaac, and Ishmael. I'm talking Bible stuff. This is rooted back there. Now, not completely. There's other factors, absolutely, that are modern in the time frame and so forth. But you could trace back this animosity, this hatred, this the disagreement to this particular point in to modern times as well. But you could take it all the way back to biblical times. This runs really, really deep. So 11 hours ago, Trump's busy on Truth Social all the time. But I want to go to a post that was 11 hours ago as of right now, which is the only time I can talk about is the current time. But he says this on Truth Social: Israel and Iran came to me almost simultaneously and said, peace. I knew the time was now. The world and the Middle East are the real winners. Both nations will see tremendous love, peace, and prosperity in their futures. They have so much to gain and yet so much to lose if they stray from the road of righteousness and truth. The future for Israel and Iran is unlimited and filled with great promise. God bless you both. And so peace has been at least agreed to on paper. Now, we also know that this peace did not last very long. Let me actually take you a little bit further back to yesterday. Iran, after over the weekend having their nuclear facilities taken out, Iran had to kind of save face. Iran knows that if the United States of America is in this conflict, look, they might be madmen running the show in Iran, but they are not stupid. They are not stupid. They understand that they don't stand a chance against the United States of America. Now, could they activate sleeper cells that snuck across the border in Biden's America? That's certainly possible. Could there be rogue terrorist attacks? Absolutely. Those were always a threat. Always a threat. And for those who want to blame the United States of America for that, I say grow up, because that is not nothing that we have done has justified that. Now, I understand that there are two sides, even in something as clear-cut as this. There are perspectives, right? There are things the United States has done that would have upset people in that region, but nothing that justifies the killing of innocent civilians, men, women, and children. This should go without saying. The United States of America, by having bases, if you go back to the time of, Osama bin Laden's Al-Qaeda, Afghanistan, the Mujahideen, he's not Iranian, a little bit different animal, but certainly similarities as well. This, having bases in Saudi Arabia, in the Holy Land, the Holy Land of Islam, is what set off, in a lot of ways, the leader of Al-Qaeda. It's upset, I'm sure, in ways, the leaders of Iran. But this is not something that justifies what we're dealing with in regards to the face of modern terrorism today. But there could be strikes like that. But to face the United States head-on in a fight is just, listen, this is not going to happen, now this could, of course, we know that especially if you look at, biblical prophecies, there's going to be some problems with certain countries as it pertains to their hatred and attacks on Israel. And I don't know, listen, I don't know what that's going to look like. I will tell you this. I'm a guy, I just finished, I've read the Bible before, but I read for the first time sequentially through the Bible with a guide, and I picked up a lot of things that, I didn't know before. And I feel like every time you read through even a book or something like this, you'll learn more. But I have to tell you, of all the things in the scriptures, I hold with an open hand the interpretation of the book of Revelation, because I don't know. There are people who have very, very strong feelings about this. There are people who think every single action is a fulfillment of prophecy, and maybe some of these things are. Some of these things aren't, because they make a prediction and then it doesn't continue the way that they tell us it's going to continue. It's complicated, and I encourage you, if you've not read the book of Revelation, to do that. It's the only book in the Bible that I'm aware of that gives you a blessing. It states a blessing for those who read the words of that book. I don't have the answers. I don't sit here and wonder if every action is what's prophesied in the book of Daniel or Ezekiel or Revelation. And listen, if you do that, that's fine. I would rather, the way I think about it is, I know what I should be doing. I should just be doing that regardless of what's going on. Do I pay attention? Am I mindful of it? Do I take note when Iran in particular or Russia does something that's not favorable or beneficial to the nation of Israel? I certainly do, but I don't. I don't for a moment think that I understand it. I go back and I think, we look at Revelation today like the people at the time Jesus was born were looking at the prophecies concerning his birth. And how many people missed that? How many people misunderstood what God was telling them in the scriptures? How many people expected Jesus to set up an earthly kingdom here? How many people missed that? Now we can say, well, they should have known that. It was obvious and all that sort of thing. I take a different, line of thinking on that. And I think if they who had scripture memorized couldn't predict some of those things, how am I supposed to, take a book like Revelation and understand it to perfection and know exactly what's going on? I don't know that. I'm not criticizing those who do. If you want to study that, that's fine. I would say I prefer to use the time I have available to do the things that I know I should be doing. It's not, just to know information, which again, I'm not saying it's important to be able to, to be aware and to pay attention. I'm not saying that. But if it interferes with my doing what I feel like I should actually do in the moment, then I don't know. I just think that we should be about the business of doing what we were called to be doing. Anyway, so I don't know how this all plays out, but I do know that there's a lot here, that there's a lot of history here, that there's a lot of hatred here. Israel is not perfect, although Israel is not the one who is focused on perpetrating evil either. And so you got all this tension, all this lack of trust. You got Israel, who feels like, in many senses, the world is against them outside of the United States and maybe a couple of others, but it's largely us. It's largely the United States. I mean, what would happen? Where would we be right now if Israel did not have the support of the United States? Now, I will say this in a biblical sense. God doesn't need the United States to protect Israel. But in a sense of Israel's adversaries, if there's not a United States of America standing alongside of Israel, this thing could end much differently. Now, Israel still could have gone after the facilities, but could they have taken these facilities out? Doesn't appear that they had the technology. I don't know where this would take us. Would the aggressors be more aggressive? if there wasn't a United States of America. Thankfully, there is, stand alongside them. But there's a lot of distrust, a lot of uncertainty, a lot of unknowns here as to where we go. So after the bombing, Iran, listen, nations want to try to save face, right? Nations want to try to save face. Iran got annihilated over the weekend. Everything was effectively taken out. Now, whether we completely destroyed it, there's questions out there about where this enriched uranium actually ended up. Were they able to move it? Was it destroyed within the sites that we hit? We don't really know, to be quite candid. But there's, in fact, I might reference that article, but there's enriched uranium that is at 60% enriched levels, and it only has to be taken up to 90%. So they're, 2/3 of the way there, I guess, if that's the correct way of looking at it, towards getting it to weapons grade enriched uranium. And so they would have wanted to protect that, to save that, to move that out of harm's way. Iran knew that we were at least considering, very strongly considering, taking out these facilities. And so some people think they moved the enriched uranium. Others believe that they weren't able to because they were being watched. And if we saw a truck move, Israel was going to blow that thing up. So there's all sorts of speculation, uncertainty. But Iran, make no mistake, was basically, their entire program was crippled, severely crippled, taken down to size. And so Iran knew that there's really nothing Iran can do in response. They have been taken apart systematically. You could say for the past year through other strikes Israel has launched against them, but in particular here in the past week or so, where they have been picked apart. They have really no means at the moment. Their leadership has been taken out. Their abilities to fire missiles have been crippled severely. Their nuclear facilities have been decimated. They aren't getting jets up in the sky. I mean, they are really at the mercy of Israel. In fact, if Israel really wanted to annihilate Iran, which they do not, or they would have done it, Israel would have annihilated Iran if they really wanted to at this particular point in time. And they haven't. They haven't done that. Now, if the shoe were on the other foot, if Israel was incapable of defending herself, and if Iran had the weaponry and even nuclear weapons, as we believe Israel does, what do you think Israel would look like today? Again, outside the protection of the United States and, more importantly, Yahweh himself, what would Israel potentially look like? It's obvious. We all know the answer to that. That tells us who the main perpetrator and the problem is here, but that doesn't mean that Israel is, of course, perfect. So after these strikes, the Iranians basically say, okay. In fact, they called up Trump and said, we're going to fire missiles at a base in Qatar. They informed the Qatari government. Qatar shut down its airspace. They fired missiles at a base, as I understand it, a base that's currently empty. Nothing was really struck. They just wanted to show that they retaliated. And then they immediately moved into this period of time where they were negotiating peace. So they have to save face with the people. Remember, what's happening in Iran is they are inside facing the potential of the collapse of their government. And so Iran feels like they have to show their people that we're not, completely helpless here. We're still a formidable foe on the world stage. You're not just going to waltz in here and take over, overthrow our government, Iranian citizens, although they certainly could do that. In fact, the regime is toppling. The son of the former Shah of Iran believes that the regime may in fact completely crumble. And of course, that's going to be a whole other situation to kind of navigate. But Iran is trying to save face. They fired some missiles. Trump kind of mocks them. But then a peace is negotiated. Then A missile finds its way. It's fired by Iran. It hits somewhere. Doesn't really hit anything with Israel. Israel then decides to send up some jets and go bomb Iran again for violating the ceasefire. Now, this is what is happening when Trump makes his remarks this morning. This morning he makes remarks where he jumps Israel's case a little bit. And so I want to play that here in a moment. Before I do that, friends, would you rather, let's play that. When I was a kid, we used to play a game. Would you rather? I had a buddy who loved this. Would you rather X or Y? And he had some crazy X's and some crazy Y's. Well, he had some crazy X's in other ways as well. But would you rather take 2 soft gels a day or spend hours in your doctor's office talking about your cholesterol? I know what I would choose, and that's why I take Solti. Solti is an all-natural, clinically proven dietary supplement that lowers your cholesterol. No prescriptions, no doctor visits, it's not even a drug. This is an all-natural supplement. It's safe. It's been proven by science. Science has spoken on this to lower cholesterol. It may be able to help you lower yours as well. All you have to do is take 2 Solti soft gels a day. That's all it takes, my friends, to get started with taking care of your heart health. So, if you're interested in this, and why wouldn't you be, go to Solti.com, S-O-L-T-E-A, Solti.com. Use my name, Todd, during the checkout process. You're going to save 50% on your purchase, and you are going to get free shipping to boot. Solti.com, S-O-L-T-E-A, promo code Todd. Solti.com, promo code Todd. All right, that being said, let's get to the comments made by Trump. And I'm going to have to get the bleep button out because Trump doesn't hold back here. Trump actually drops the F-bomb here during his remarks. During his remarks about what Israel and Iran is doing. Sorry here. What in the world? I'm having trouble finding this. Pretty sure I saved this. I may have to play this after the break here, which actually, as I look at the clock, I've only got about 20 seconds anyway. So let's do that. I'll find this soundbite, which I thought I had right here in the stack of stuff. I must just be overlooking it. So that's where we're going to start when we come back. So Trump is upset that Israel responded. He said Iran, was probably a mistake. It didn't hit anything. Everybody's trying to get used to this ceasefire. They've been fighting for so long that this is how this, everybody's kind of jumpy and on edge. This has got to stop. He's not happy with Israel. We'll play that soundbite on the other side of the break, my friends. Sit tight. You're listening to Conservative Not Bitter Talk. I'm your host, Todd Huff. Back in just a minute.
It is Ryan Seacrest here. There was a recent social media trend which consisted of flying on a plane with no music, no movies, no entertainment. But a better trend would be going to ChumbaCasino.com. It's like having a mini social casino in your pocket. Chumba Casino has over 100 online casino-style games, all absolutely free. It's the most fun you can have online and on a plane. So grab your free welcome bonus now at ChumbaCasino.com. Sponsored by Chumba Casino.
No purchase necessary. VGW Group. Void where prohibited by law. 21 plus. Terms and conditions apply.
Welcome back, my friend. I found the soundbite during the break. I don't know how I overlooked. Actually, it was just named something a little bit differently. So I'm going to play the soundbite. Trump is talking with the media. He's about to get on Marine One here. And he's talking about the ceasefire, how it's already been broken after just, an hour or so. He says he's unhappy with Israel. He's unhappy with Iran. Both sides, quote, don't know what the blank they're doing, is what he says. I'm going to play it for you here. I'm going to get the bleep button ready. That being said, here are the remarks Trump made prior to boarding Marine One this morning in regards to Israel and Iran.
Are Yeah, I do. They violated it, but Israel violated it too.
Are you questioning if Israel was committed?
Israel, as soon as we made the deal, they came out and they dropped a load of bombs, the likes of which I'd never seen before. The biggest load that we've seen. I'm not happy with Israel. You know, when I say, okay, now you have 12 hours, you don't go out in the first hour and just drop everything you have on them. So I'm not happy with them. I'm not happy with Iran either. But I'm really unhappy if Israel's going out this morning because the one rocket that didn't land, that was shot, perhaps by mistake, that didn't land. I'm not happy about that. You know what? We basically have two countries that have been fighting so long and so hard that they don't know what the they're doing. Do you understand that?
We have two countries that have been fighting for so hard and for so long that they don't know what the blank they're doing. Trump's going after... What the world was that? Trump's going after Israel a little bit here. Now, again, Israel is not the one at fault for the overall conflict, but Israel is certainly responded pretty aggressively to this rocket that was fired. Now, from Israel's perspective, you know, hey, we have a ceasefire. All of a sudden, I see another missile coming from Iran. I've been deluged by missiles from Iran for some time. They've been threatening to annihilate me for some time. They have been chanting death to Israel, death to America for some time. I mean, it's understandable that Israel says, look, they are the ones they fired the first rocket. We responded. Trump says, look, you can't hear in this period of settling into the actual ceasefire just go bananas over one rocket that you actually shot down, according to Trump. I thought it missed its target, but it apparently was actually intercepted and shot down. So how do you then when you see the rocket say, let's just put our jets back up in the air and drop a heavy payload on Iranian targets? Trump says you got to stop that. We're never going to have peace if this is the way that this is done. I'm not happy with Israel. I'm certainly not happy with Iran in general, but Israel, Trump would seem to suggest here, they overreacted. Now, it's easy to say when you are not having missiles lobbed at your country by the Iranian regime, but nonetheless, Trump's point is valid. And again, the tensions are high, to Trump's point. This has been going on for a long, long time. This is not something that, tensions are high. Tensions are high, especially in, I would say, both countries at this point, right? Before I would have said tensions are higher in Israel because they were, basically not being any, they were not engaging in Iran. They started engaging with Iran, which would put Iran more on edge. But Israel is the one that's being told that they need to be wiped off of the face of the planet and that sort of stuff. So I understand the tension. I understand the, you get a little bit of a, trigger finger here. So that's kind of what's going on there. Now, there's other things in the news about this as well. I do want to mention here a couple of things. We talked yesterday about the Strait of Hormuz, which I want to talk. Actually, that's what I want to talk a little bit about right now. The Strait of Hormuz, which is a path that many oil tankers take. Iran has tried to take that over, shut that down. So let's just really quickly here. This is AmericanMilitaryNews.com. It says, the headline here says, the Strait of Hormuz, what it is, or what is it, and why does it matter? This was originally published by Radio Free Europe, Radio Liberty, and it's been republished here. Here's what it says. Iranian lawmakers have been backing calls to close the Strait of Hormuz, a vital global trade route where more than a fifth of the world's oil supply passes every day. Tehran has, in the past, threatened to close the strait, which would restrict trade and impact global oil prices, but has never followed through on the threat. Although there is apparently consensus in Iran's parliament supporting the closure of the strait, the ultimate decision lies with the country's Supreme National Security Council. By the way, this was written yesterday. All right, picking my place back up here. Too many ads in these things. I tell you, I scroll up to find the date, and listen, that's one thing you don't find on my website. Anyway, besides Iran, Saudi Arabia, Kuwait, and Iraq also rely on the narrow waterway to get their oil to China and other global markets. The strait lies between Oman and Iran and links the Persian Gulf to the north with the Gulf of Oman and the Arabian Sea beyond. So it's a choke point. It's 33 kilometers wide at its narrowest point, and its shipping lane is just 3 kilometers wide. So that's a very, very small channel. So that would, in theory, be, easy to block, right? I mean, again, notwithstanding the military might of the United States Navy, but just in theory, you wouldn't. It's not a big area. You could create havoc and turmoil. I've seen some radar images of ships who have turned around to avoid this area. As a member of OPEC, Iran currently produces around 3.3 million barrels of oil per day and exports over 2 million barrels of oil and fuel daily. Closing the strait offers Tehran a way to directly pressure the U.S. by triggering a spike in oil prices, which would likely cause immediate inflation, both in the United States and globally. Again, it would cause the price of oil to increase. That's not, it's a pet peeve of mine. True inflation is when there's an increase in the money supply, whereby everything across the board increases in price because there are excess dollars that are out there. There are too many dollars, so the economy seeks an equilibrium. And so it seeks a higher percentage of dollars, or not a higher percentage, but just more dollars because there's too many out there to reach an equilibrium. So it drives up the prices of things. Just this, I know we use the term inflation to mean an increase in price, but it's not the same thing. This is actually, there are other reasons the price of oil would go up here, and this is precisely why, because Iran is interfering with supply. Anyway, however, such a move would also be a significant act of economic self-sabotage. Iran relies on the same route for its own oil exports, and blocking it could prompt Gulf Arab states, despite their criticism of the Israeli attack, to enter the fray in order to protect their own strategic and economic interests. In other words, it's much more complicated. So you just can't say, I'm going to shut this down and cause panic or cause turmoil for the global economy. You're going to be hurting yourself as well because you use this path. Are you going to let your ships through? It's again, a complicated scenario, but this is something that, again, some of the ramifications and consequences of what we've been dealing with here. And this is the way that wars are often fought, right? You want to do what you can to cause harm on your enemy, but when you're causing harm to yourself as well, as this would seemingly cause Iran some pain as well, and given that they are in a position where they've already, they're dealing with a lot. They're dealing with the attacks that they've dealt with. They're dealing with internal strife. They've lost their nuclear program. Isn't it the better path to try to save face, to not look like you were beaten into oblivion, but to say, okay, look, let's just have a peace negotiation. We retaliated. We showed them that we meant business and both sides wanted to come to the table. Isn't that a better route? By the way, that's good. It's good that Trump understands this stuff, right? Trump, well, he did mock Iran a little bit, and he made it clear that Iran notified us prior to its missile strikes in retaliation. The bottom line is he understands that the Iranian government needs to save face, and if that's what they need to do, Trump's willing at some level to allow that to happen, just so that we get to the bigger objective here, which is peace, which, again, Seems to be a very difficult thing to pin down in that region of the world. But anyway, that's where we are. I've got to take a break, my friends. Quick time out. Back in just a minute.
Step into the world of power, loyalty, and luck.
I'm going to make him an offer he can't refuse.
With family, cannolis, and spins mean everything.
Now, you want to get mixed up in the family business.
Introducing The Godfather at ChumbaCasino.com. Test your luck in the shadowy world of The Godfather slot.
Someday, I will call upon you to do a service for me.
Play The Godfather now at ChumbaCasino.com.
Welcome to the family.
No purchase necessary. VGW Group. Void where prohibited by law. 21 plus. Terms and conditions apply.
Welcome back, my friends. Let me speak to those of you who are in sales. How would your life change? How would your life change if you doubled your sales? Think about that for just a moment. More deals, bigger commissions, less stress, more money. Listen, money is not a bad thing. As Zig Ziglar used to say, money is reasonably important. It's up there next to oxygen. And he would be right. It's not money that's the root of all kinds of evil, according to the Bible. It's the love of money. It's having it have preeminence or too much of an importance in our lives. But having more money to have the ability to make more choices, provision, and so forth for our family is a good thing. Not only that, you're helping other people, if you're an effective salesperson, get what they need and want, the better skilled that you are at your job. And that's what Matt Easton and Easton University can help you achieve, my friends. I think Matt's system is as good as any system that's out there today, and I think it's even better. I can't speak for everything because I don't know everything. I know it's tempting to think that, but I don't. I don't know everything. But I do know that if you follow Matt's training, whether you're an entrepreneur, a salesperson, a sales manager, the more of these skills that you or your salespeople know, the better they're going to be, the better you're going to be as a salesperson. So this system is designed to help transform your sales career. And if you sign up to be a student through the link I'm about to give you, through the website I'm about to give you here, Matt is even going to jump on a call with you to help you get started given where you are personally. So this is not just a training program. It is a proven path to success. You've got to take the first step. ToddHuffShow.com/Easton is that first step. ToddHuffShow.com/Easton. Do not let another opportunity slip through your hands, my friends. Your future in sales starts today. All right. I referenced this earlier in the program. Actually got a text from my brother yesterday afternoon. Before I had seen this, my brother had seen this. He texted me. Here's what the text says. Only Trump would respond to Iran's missile strike on the U.S. airbase as weak. And Trump did that. Article here at the Epic Times, I should say, written by Ryan Morgan. President Donald Trump, in a social media post on June 23rd, that would have been yesterday, indicated Iran gave advanced warning of its missile barrage targeting the U.S. military's Al Udeid Air Base in Qatar. By the way, headline here, Trump says Iran gave U.S. notice before attacking base in Qatar. The U.S. president says the missile attack caused hardly any damage and thanked Iran for providing early notice. I love this. Iran has officially, this is Trump's one of Trump's Truth Social posts from yesterday. Iran has officially responded to our obliteration of their nuclear facilities with a very weak response. That's the part my brother was referencing, which we expected, Trump says, and have very effectively countered. That was a post Monday afternoon. The president said the Iranian missile barrage consisted of 14 missiles, of which Trump said 13 were shot down, and one was allowed to continue in a non-threatening direction. The missile barrage marked Iran's response to the strike Trump ordered over the weekend that targeted 3 Iranian nuclear facilities. I am pleased to report that no Americans were harmed and hardly any damage was done. And most importantly, they've gotten it out of their system. And there will hopefully be no further hate, Trump's social media post continued. I want to thank Iran for giving us early notice, which made it possible for no lives to be lost and nobody to be injured. In a subsequent Truth Social post, Trump said that no Qataris were harmed in the Iranian missile strike. Regarding, Trump says, the attack today at the American Air Base in Qatar, I am pleased to report that in addition to no Americans being killed or wounded, very importantly, there have also been no Qataris killed or wounded, he wrote. While Trump said the Iranian missile attack was ineffective and largely choreographed, Iranian state media said the barrage was a decisive response to the U.S. strike over the weekend. The message of this decisive action by the sons of the nation and the armed forces to the White House and its allies is clear and direct, the Iranian armed forces said in a statement shared with Iran's press TV. The Iranian military added that Iran would, quote, never leave any violation of its territorial integrity, sovereignty, or national security unanswered. So again, Iran is trying to save face. Trump says, hey, thanks for the phone call. Your response was weak. We shot down 13 of your 14 missiles. One of them didn't even know where it was going. I don't know what that was about. You guys need to work on your stuff. But hey, appreciate the heads up. Thanks for playing here. If you've got anything else you need to fire our direction to save face, let us know. But hopefully the hate has come to an end. That's the flavor of this. This is crazy to think about. You've got the ability to see this stuff play out in real time with social media, with videos, with responses from world leaders. I mean, you can watch them getting into face-offs on X or some other platform instantaneously in real time, especially when the commander-in-chief is Trump. So that's where we stand. Iran's trying to save face. They're trying to also not get wiped off the face of the planet by challenging Israel and the United States to a head-to-head war. They're the ones that started this. The United States is taking care of business, and now it's all about saving face and, of course, creating that narrative for Iran so that they can share it domestically to remind the people that they still have power. Don't try to overthrow the government. Gotta go, SDG.
Ryan Seacrest here. When you have a busy schedule, it's important to maximize your downtime. One of the best ways to do that is by going to ChumbaCasino.com. Chumba Casino has all your favorite social casino games like spin slots, bingo, and solitaire that you can play for free for a chance to redeem some serious prizes. So hop on to ChumbaCasino.com now and live the Chumba life. Sponsored by Chumba Casino.